This is so cool. I'm like wandering around the mall and it looks like these kids have made RC cars out of like Legos and now they're playing robo soccer. See if I can get good views. No. Pilot. That thing is so big, it's gotta be at least a meter. We're just swimming around the park. People and ducks over there. This is the cultural center. And then here's Godzilla. So right now I'm at the Suan Muk Buddhist Cultural Center. And there's some monks lining around, but this whole place is just, it preserves like Buddhist art, it preserves Buddhist books. They're even in English. The second story has classes for meditation. And it's just like semi-library, semi-like church type of thing, but it's an absolutely beautiful building and it's super peaceful. This place has really, really cool art. A lot of the stuff is stone, they're carvings, but they're like exact prints of the carvings. Like they've put print over it and then they put wet rock behind it and they've been able to like recopy the print. And it's super interesting. All these little things have like stories. And at first it seems very inconspicuous. You're like, see like a whole bunch of people gathered around a tree and you kind of don't really think much of it if you just were to like look at it and pass by. But if you're actually trying to figure out the meaning of it and trying to discern all the symbolism in it, you can really start to figure out like what's happening. So, and there's even like little descriptions in English, which is super nice. That definitely does not happen everywhere in Thailand, especially not in Bangkok. So yeah, let me show you guys a couple of them. Like for example, check this one out. So you've got a whole bunch of people who are presenting offerings and bowing at the bottom of a tree with a swastika right in the middle. So you could never do that in Western culture. But the tree is the Bodhi tree and it's supposed to represent the Buddha. So these people are bringing offerings to the Buddha, it would seem. And this one was carved, it says, between 400 and 700 BE, I guess, which is, I guess, before the Common Era type of thing. So in this one, we have another Bodhi tree, which is supposed to represent the Buddha. And I believe that's an open seat down there with a swastika on it once again. And that's where the Buddha would normally sit, but there's not a lot of representation of an actual person as the Buddha in a lot of the drawings. Here we have gods presenting offerings, and a lot of the things over here are meant to represent kind of the evils of the world, the temptation. And even though there is no Buddha here, it's supposed to represent that he's meditating throughout the distractions around him and all the potential sin and debauchery that he could be involved in. I really like this design. I'm a little bit familiar with this story, so I kind of understand it a little bit more. So this guy down here was a student of a very prominent Buddhist teacher, and he was told by his teacher, you have to kill 1,000 people and then you'll gain enlightenment. So you can see over here his garland that he's wearing are actually human fingers, and that's, I believe, thumbs, and that's how he would keep track of his victims. So in this one, he's actually pursuing villagers over here and trying to take their fingers. But then as the story goes, he meets the Buddha, and the Buddha calls him by name and says, like, why are you doing this? Stop that. And basically, and this is actually the Buddha right here, represented by a pillar of flames and footprints. And this is him later. You can recognize him by his garland, that he is remorseful for his actions, and he ends up following the Buddha and becomes one of his like biggest disciples. This one's one of the easier to discern art pieces. So in this one, apparently one of the wicked disciples of Buddha misleads the king of a certain city and makes him want to hurt the Buddha. And so he releases a drunk, violent elephant. And you can see here who people are cowering from. And they sent him after the Buddha. That guy's even getting run over. And upon meeting the Buddha, who is represented, I don't believe that's him. These are other townsfolk who are worshiping him. He's represented by the pillar of fire right over here and the footprints on the bottom. And you can see the elephant bowing to him, and the Buddha is supposed to have calmed the raging elephant. And that's one of the stories behind the lore of Buddha. I like this one a lot because I think it's kind of ironic. It depicts many kings on elephants from faraway lands. You can even see the mushroom looking thing over there. It's actually an umbrella, and that symbolizes their royal status. And they're declaring war on each other over the relics that the Buddha had after he died. So the Buddha was really big on non-materialism, and so it's really ironic that kings who followed his teachings are now declaring war over his things. Even before he died, he was like, yeah, don't worry about my stuff. They're just stuff, just things. Don't worry about it. But yeah, they were so caught up in materialism that they kind of neglected his whole teachings a little bit. This place is just a huge area, and it's right on a little lake in the middle of Bangkok. It's also crawling with monks. You can see people kayaking, people in the duck boats. Could even be some monitor lizards around here, but it doesn't look like it right now. It's a beautiful island in the middle as well. It's a very peaceful place just to look around. I don't have a guide or anything. I'm just wandering around the center, and I don't know, it just has a mystique about it where you just kind of want to meditate. And they even have room for it upstairs, so maybe I'll have to do that tomorrow. Whenever I see ones like this, I'm always just in absolute awe of people's ability to do art. Like, this is made out of rock that people chiseled in with copper and I guess probably iron tools. But I'm like, I can barely draw a stick figure. And these unskilled monks are just making this out of rock. I say unskilled because they're not technically taught, but they're obviously skilled because look at this. In this one, we see a whole bunch of people, including a king over here, as you can tell by his mushroom umbrella getting off the back of an elephant, coming to worship the Bodhi tree. They're worshiping, they're bringing gifts. You can even see people in the back who are playing instruments, and they're all here to worship the Buddha. Ah, yes. So this is like the shack that a really well-renowned monk used to live in. I believe it's the same one even. They recovered it from the jungle, and it's just very, very minimalistic. So you can see that he has just a couple of cushions. That looks like a picture that's fallen over, some books, and I believe he spent a lot of his time just reading different things and even writing himself. He doesn't even have a pillow. He just has, it's just a wooden headrest. And I just imagine the rain off the tin roof would be so melodic, so beautiful to go to sleep to. These ones are actually quite interesting, and I've read around these. So this one represents a man who is just starting life, who has no direction, just in the wilderness. This one, he finds tracks on the ground. Intrigued by them, he goes to follow them. He learns that they are from an ox, and he decides that I'm going to go tame that ox, and I'm going to go use it for my own personal gain, which is meant to represent the pursuit of worldly possessions. In this one, we can see he finds the ox and he wrestles with it, and he is eventually able to subdue it and tame it for his own use. This one shows him winning the fight and guiding his ox. In this one, he's riding his ox and playing the flute, and he's joyful about the materialism that he's gained from his worldly pursuits. In this one, it's a big step from this one to this one. He's looking up at the sky and realizing that there's more to life than worldly happiness, and he decides to give it up. This one's completely blank, but it represents the void or the emptiness and the unending emptiness that we all face. In this one we see a budding tree, and it's meant to represent the new life that you have once you give up your worldly possessions. This one represents the old man, or the young man with the ox, and then an old guru who has a bag full of stuff that he is giving to other people, as his sole purpose is only to provide for other people. And then he's kind of realizing that, hey, maybe that's it, maybe that's the way. And so he brings his own stuff to give to people. And then this is just supposed to be either a guru, or it could be representing the Buddha himself. And it represents his submission to the Buddha to follow a new path of enlightenment. I've caught this one on land, and he's sleeping. That's got to be at least 5 feet long. Just a casual dinosaur chilling out here. I can't wait to go to Indonesia and see the bigger ones. What's up, guys? I'm outside of my hotel in Bangkok, and I'm about to get a bus to Siem Reap, Cambodia, and go see the Angkor Wat temple, and then probably head to Phnom Penh and see some of the fighting and some of the culture that they have there. And I'm super excited for this trip. I'm crossing international borders for the first time in a couple months, even. So I can't wait to take you guys with me, and I hope you guys enjoy.